Hey everybody, I'm Paulie G. Welcome back to the Paulie G Show, coming to you live from high atop Mount Georgia. How are you all doing? So glad to be here with you again. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I am sitting here with this glorious looking gold top guitar, but we're not here to talk about that today. We'll get to that probably in the next episode. But I wanted to talk a little bit about where I got this guitar and show you a little bit of a recent trip that I took to London. For those of you who haven't had the pleasure yet of spending any time in that city, this was the first time for me that I had, enough time to really do a little bit of exploration there. And, it's such an amazing place to be. There's so much history, so much to see. You could spend a couple of weeks there and really still not even see maybe everything that you want, to the level that you want. But I had a little bit of time to spend there and an opportunity to see some things, and I wanted to share them with you. So I'm going to go through a few different segments of things that I saw. But I would encourage you to stick around to the end of the video because I've saved the best for last, as we always do in show business, right? So, I would encourage you, if you can, stick around to the end of the video because I think that's kind of for me anyway, was the coolest part. But I'm going to start with a little bit of time that I spent in the Tower of London. So the Tower, which is right next to London Bridge on the Thames River, is really served as, the home for kings and queens for century upon century, long before Buckingham Palace or those places came along or were built. It was actually constructed under the rule of William the Conqueror in the 1060s to the 1070s, so it's pretty close to 1,000 years old by now. So it's really, an amazing place to be, and to see the condition that it's in, which is, still in perfect condition for being 1,000 years old, which is a testament to the quality and craftsmanship of the masons who came from all over Europe to work on it. Really quite an amazing place. And, it's a place that is both, sort of triumphant and also has some tragedy. For example, King Henry VIII was, famously, lived in that building. And we all know about his history with wives and, among other things, that's where Anne Boleyn was executed in the courtyard of the Tower of London. But it's a really interesting place to be. So let's take a quick walk through, and I'll just show you a few of the sights and sounds of the Tower of London. So here we go. And we're entering the Tower of London. This should be quite fascinating. I don't know how much I can film in here, but we'll see. some various armament used to defend the tower. Here we have some implements of torture. The Scavenger's Daughter and the Rack. And here we have London Bridge in all of its glory. It has not fallen down yet. All right, that was kind of fun, huh? So now you've been to the Tower of London and you've seen London Bridge a little more up close. Pretty interesting place to be for sure. You know, you can really feel, you know, the weight of the history of that place when you're standing inside, you know, those buildings. It's pretty amazing. But next stop on the tour is a place that us guitar enthusiasts might find a little more interesting, and that is Denmark Street. And that's a place that I've been wanting to visit for a very long time, having heard so much about it and read so much about it over the years. And Denmark Street is sort of the equivalent to what 48th Street in New York City used to be long ago, which was, you know, door after door of guitar shops and music stores. And it's still that way on Denmark Street. There's some really amazing guitar shops there. And I came across some amazing vintage American guitars and other guitars from other countries. But interestingly, I found some models of American guitars I'd never even heard of that I'll show you in the video. So the other interesting thing about Denmark Street, though, is it's also known as Tin Pan Alley. And that's a term you might be familiar with here in the U.S. New York City famously had a Tin Pan Alley. And in London, just like in New York City, it was a place where songwriters used to go, and they had little offices that they would sit in front of a typewriter or with a guitar or a piano and write popular music, the music that was being played on the radio in those days. So there's just hundreds of hit songs that came out of Denmark Street right up until the time, and maybe shortly after, the Beatles came along. So that was a game changer, and a sort of a seismic shift where bands realized that they could and should write their own songs, because that way they'd have creative control, and equally as important, they got all of the royalties for the publishing and, the songwriting that they did. But Denmark Street served as both of those things. And I saw some amazing guitar shops there, and I'm just going to walk you through a few of them right now. So join me on a little journey through Denmark Street. Here we go. Okay, here we are on Denmark Street. This is the famous place where really all of your British rock stars have come at one time or another to shop for guitars. We have Regent guitars to my left. Over to my right, we have the famous Hanks guitars, and we're going to do a little bit of exploring here. So this is a really cool place to be. So I hope you'll enjoy joining me. All right, here we are at Hanks Guitars with my new friends Noah and Kawi. Kawi? This is a wondrous, wondrous place with a lot of amazing vintage stuff here. Very tempting for the collection. So who knows? We may end up taking something home. So. All right. Climbing the steps to the second floor here. Hanks Guitars. It's quite a wild place. Turning to my right, more of the acoustic room. quite a lot of interesting things here to see and play. And here is the sort of Fender selection here at Hank's. Quite a selection of, actually, not just Fenders, but many, many other brands. And cool enough, we have a Hofner bass right here. So I'm gonna have to take a pluck on this and enjoy that. So here we have a D60 Guild. So I've never seen this model before. This is quite interesting. So we know I have the D55, but I'm gonna have to familiarize myself with this D60. Very interesting. Sounds great. Rosewood back and sides. Quite different inlays from the D55. So we'll check it out. All right, 66 Sounds. Another very, very cool guitar shop. A lot of amazing vintage stuff here.
Yeah, I love it. I thought it was
Star of the show here is this 65 Epiphone Texan. This is the real deal, folks. This is the guitar, the Frampton style guitar. It's really pretty incredible. And here we are at No Tom Guitars. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Another amazing vintage guitar shop, which we're going to explore. As you can see from the window, some amazing stuff here. And just here's some more selections of the acoustic room here at No Tom's. Look at that 1953 J200. Wow, that is a beauty right there. But I'll tell you, that Guild D70, that is really, really something right there. All set?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here at No Tom's Guitars, I have a Guild D70. I've never ever seen this model before. Extremely rare. 1982. Beautiful, what I think is Brazilian rosewood back and sides. And the tone of this is just extraordinary. This is an amazing, amazing guitar. So these are the kind of things you find here in England that you don't see in the USA. Okay, what a cool place to be that was. You know, I'll tell you, I probably spent a lot more time on Denmark Street than I should have, and I no doubt missed out on some other amazing, things I could have seen in London, but boy, I could just spend all day on Denmark Street and just go from store to store and be happy. It was a lot of fun to be there, and the people were really cool. The shop owners were great. And it was just really a thrill to be there. For a guitar enthusiast, it's Mecca, So anyway, we have finally come to the grand finale of the video, and that is I had to go to Abbey Road Studios, right? So Abbey Road is an interesting place. It's a main thoroughfare. Sort of runs through central London, and the neighborhood is actually called Westminster, but it's definitely within the boundaries of the city proper of London. And the building still looks very much the same as it did in the days that the Beatles first recorded there. I think it was called EMI back in those days, and then in the 60s it changed to Abbey Road Studios. But, to be in that place, I have to tell you, the goosebumps were definitely, standing up tall. Because you think about just all the incredible music that came out of that place, all those amazing Beatles albums, and, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, and, the list goes on of, just amazing things that happened in that place. So to be there was really quite a thrill. And of course, had to take a stroll across Abbey Road. Now, that's an interesting thing in itself because, again, it is a busy thoroughfare. There's not a traffic light at that crosswalk. So people like myself that are, walking across tend to annoy the cars that are trying to get where they're going. So it takes a little bit of patience on their part to stop and let us film or take photographs and things. But generally, people that are driving are pretty good about that. But, you've got to be careful in London with crossing streets because remember, they drive on the left side of the road, not the right side. So when you step off a curb, make sure you're looking in the correct direction. I almost got run over a couple of times over there looking the wrong way when I stepped off the curb. So, but what I thought I would do is take you on a stroll through the Abbey Road neighborhood. And then we're going to cross Abbey Road together, just as the Beatles did. So I hope you'll join me for a nice little stroll across Abbey Road. So here we go. And here we are, folks, at the famous Abbey Road Studios here in the Westminster section of London. It's an amazing place to be. It's a bit noisy, a lot of tourists like myself. And just down the way is the crossing where you'll see those people are gathered, the famous crosswalk. So I will shoot some photos there and put them in here as well. And here it is, folks, the famous crossway that the Beatles crossed on the album cover for Abbey Road. This is on Abbey Road itself, and you'll see a lot of folks here stopping and taking photos, and cars have to stop. I guess they probably get quite annoyed after a while, but this is it. It's an amazing place to be. Okay, here we are, crossing Abbey Road, just as the Beatles did so long ago. Okay, well, there you go. You've crossed Abbey Road, albeit virtually. So for those of you who may never get to London or haven't had the opportunity, at least now you can, get a sense of what it's like to cross Abbey Road. I got to tell you, it was really, really quite a thrill to be there. Just an amazing piece of history there. So I'm so glad you joined me. Thank you so much. I will do a review of this amazing little thing that I picked up at a shop called No Tom's that I featured in the video in London. And I'll give you the background story of this in the next video. We'll have a little play. And thank you so much for joining me. It's always great to be here with you. And until next time, this is Paulie G reminding you, when it comes to guitars, you only need one. More. See you next time.